You are listening to Pocketful of Diamonds, Book 7 of the Nadia Wolf series, written by Nicolette Pierce. Copyright 2016. Audio copyright 2025 by Pierced Heart Publishing. Digitally narrated with full cast of voices.
Chapter 6. Gwen woke as if in a fog. The last time she had slept in Najamba, she had been with Ian, falling asleep in his arms, exhausted from lovemaking. The hot air blanketed them while nature sung an enchanting lullaby. It had sung to her again, and she'd fallen asleep instantly. So, if it was still dark, why was she awake? She rubbed the sleep from her eyes and sat up. Something must have woken her, and she had better figure out what. She didn't want any unpleasant surprises. As she stood to walk to the window, she was startled to find a silhouette behind the desk. Was it just a shadow playing with her imagination? It stayed eerily still, no movements to animate it. Yes, it had to be her mind playing tricks on her. But, just to make sure. Hello? Nothing. She walked a few steps closer. Is someone here? Still nothing. But every time she took another step closer, she realized it wasn't her imagination. Someone was there. Gwen willed herself to remain calm. Please, turn on the light. The desk lamp flicked on, bathing Ian in a warm glow. She blinked at the sudden brightness. Ian. She took a step back. He never took his eyes off her. Never moved. Only the rifle he held tracked her movements. This isn't what it looks like, she hurriedly said. He didn't say anything, but his tightened jaw told her what his words didn't. I'm serious. I'm not here to steal from you. It was the truth for now. She had no idea what would happen once she relayed her information, but for now she had no intention of taking anything from him.
Where are my diamonds?
He finally said through clenched teeth. I already told you, they're gone. She took another step back and felt the couch at the back of her legs. I never meant to hurt you, really.
But you did, repeatedly.
She had nothing to say to that. Her apologies obviously meant nothing to him, and there was nothing more she could say. She took a breath and headed for the door, hoping he wouldn't shoot her in the back. If he did, she wouldn't blame him, but she really hoped it wouldn't come to that.
Where are you going?
I'll leave. You won't see me ever again. She turned to look at him one last time. I promise. She would try to explain to Divine. He could be reasonable when it suited him. Unfortunately, when she turned around, her gaze tangled with Ian's, and she was momentarily trapped. I promise, she repeated. Turning to the door, she wrapped her hand around the handle only to find it locked. How? She quickly searched to find a way to unlock it, but it was an older model that would only unlock with a key. Before she could process her next move, Ian stepped in front of her, blocking the door.
Not as easy this time.
She stepped back. What do you want from me? I don't have your diamonds, so don't bother asking again. I have no money to pay you back. I'd be happy to apologize again, but I don't think you want me to.
I want you in jail where you belong.
I'd be no use to you in jail. We can work out an arrangement instead. I can pay you back in installments. She'd have to skim from the top, but it was doable. Ian narrowed his eyes.
You stole millions from me, and I know I'm not the first nor the last. If you don't have the money, who does?
She hadn't expected him to call her on that point. Gwen crossed her arms and looked directly at him. Can we work out an arrangement or not? I'm fully prepared to make amends. It might take some time, but I can get you some money within 2 weeks. He laughed.
And I can trust your word. It took me 6 months to track you down. I'm not wasting another 6. Not on you.
She tried not to flinch at the last word that seemed to be filled with hate. I'll give you my contact information. If I don't deliver funds within 2 weeks, you can set the police on me.
Contact info can be changed. Police can be bribed, especially here. There is nothing you can do or say to make me trust you.
Gwen eyed him. He was serious. He would not let her leave. Her punch had caught him by surprise in France, but this time he was armed and prepared. Maybe if she waited, there would be an opportunity. With a sigh, she walked to the couch and sat down. You win. Send me to jail if it makes you feel better. If she couldn't find a way to leave, she'd have to rely on Duvine's assistance. He had enough money to move mountains if he chose to, and since all that money came from her, she doubted he would let her sit in jail for long. Ian studied her for a moment before nodding. He strode to the desk and picked up the satellite telephone. A brief, murmured conversation later, she assumed to the police. He sat down in the chair and stared at her. So, do I wait? She asked.
They'll come for you in the morning. You might as well sleep while you can. I doubt you'll be able to in the crowded cells in Freetown.
Gwen lay down as if she was perfectly comfortable with the situation. She was anything but. Jails here were filled to the brim with desperate people all looking for a chance to break free, for food, for relief from diseases. There was a good chance she would die before Duvine was able to fund her release. She glanced over at Ian. Can I make a call?
You can make one in jail?
She nodded and turned over so Ian couldn't see her emotions. She would survive. She always did.
Ian sat behind the desk, his eyes never straying from Gwen. It was nearly morning. The sky gradually turned from black to indigo. He was sure Gwen had fallen asleep an hour ago. Her body no longer held rigid, but breathed in a soft rhythm. He scrubbed a hand over his face, allowing his dry eyes to close for a moment. Ian never called the police as he'd pretended. It was a ruse to see what she would do. It seemed as though she accepted her fate, but he knew she'd lost her composure when she turned her back on him. Her shoulders had shaken for a brief minute until she sniffed and returned to her rigid position. He probably should have called the police since he wasn't quite sure what to do with her now. But he didn't have the heart to place her in jail, where her life would be in danger. Plus, she was hiding something, and it bothered him. How was it possible to steal so much and have nothing to show for it? For a millisecond, he thought that she could have spent it all, but that would have been highly unlikely. It'd take years of wasteful spending to empty her diamond-lined pockets. He didn't even think a gambling debt would be the answer. So, what happened? And why did he care? The door handle jiggled, gaining Ian's attention. That had to be either Gerard or Fode unlocking the door, or... Ian aimed the rifle, ready to use it if necessary. Gerard swung the door open and stepped inside, halting when he saw the gun pointed at him.
What did I do?
He looked around.
Did Manny shred the reports again?
Ian took a breath and set the gun on the desk. No, Gwen is here, and I wasn't sure who else would make an appearance. Gerard peered down at her, but then shrugged and turned away. I don't know what to do with her, especially if Jasper is coming. Having two different problems on the same day could cause more problems.
Did she say anything?
Just that she wasn't planning on stealing anything.
Then why is she here?
Ian shrugged. I have no idea.
She doesn't seem anxious.
Gerard studied her.
She's sleeping as if she doesn't have a care in the world.
Maybe she didn't. Perhaps the life of a thief is a one-part high-adrenaline heist followed by months of lounging around. However, that still wouldn't explain why she was here. There had to be better places to whittle away the time between jobs.
Did you call the police?
I pretended to, but no. It would only cause more unwanted attention for us, and she wouldn't last a day.
What do you care what happens to her?
Gerard sat in a chair across the desk from Ian and kicked his feet up. I don't care, but you know what the jail conditions are like. I wouldn't even send my worst enemy there. Ian flicked a glance at Gwen, which I guess would be her.
Then do we keep her here forever?
Let's get rid of Jasper first and then deal with Gwen. Ian stood. The quarantine signs and caution tape are in the closet. Do you want to put them out, or should I? Gerard stood.
I'll do it. Fode will be around soon and can help.
Ian nodded. Spread the word to clear the streets and keep inside. There will be no work today. But let them know they'll get paid as long as they keep out of sight. If Jasper still wants to dig through the mine, he will do it by himself. Gerard opened the closet and gathered the supplies needed.
Will you be okay alone with her?
I might need a break once she wakes up.
Give me an hour or two, then I'll take a shift. By that time, Jasper might be here and will want to speak to you.
Ian felt his chest tighten. He took a breath, but it didn't seem to help.
Don't worry. What's the worst that could happen?
A war on our land. Villagers butchered. The tightening grew worse. Gerard raised a brow.
Or we hire guards and train the villagers to protect themselves.
Ian cursed his forgetfulness. The reason I came here last night was to get in touch with David. I thought he might have ideas on how to secure the village without armed force. Instead, he had stared at Gwen for who knows how many hours. I was distracted.
Could have been a very nice distraction had you done more than sit in an uncomfortable chair all night. Looking is never as fun as...
Stop. Ian pointed at the door. Just go before I actually use this gun you always make me carry around.
And aren't you glad I do? Hunting blondes has always been a favorite sport.
The corners of his mouth kicked up. Maybe yours, but not mine.
I'm not so sure about that.
He opened the door. Before he left, he said,
Happy hunting. Try not to let her get another knockout.
Gerard closed the door behind him, but Ian could hear his laughter. Ian smothered another curse that was building inside him. This was just the beginning. Gerard would have plenty of extra goading later when he was filled to the gills with pollo. Instead of dwelling on Gerard or Gwen, he flipped open his laptop and connected to the satellite. A quick note to David might prove useful. More useful than staring at the back of Gwen's head. In his email, Ian explained the circumstances, leaving out Gwen for the moment. He probably wouldn't hear back from David for a day or two given the time differences. Plus, his wife was due to have a baby soon. Ian would be an uncle. Funny, he never gave it much thought before now. And it really didn't change his life one way or the other. But something about the realization that there would be another Miller tickled his insides just a bit, and he wasn't sure why. Maybe it was just happiness for his brother and sister-in-law, or perhaps it was indigestion from the fufu.
Gwen had kept her eyes closed as she listened to Ian's conversation with Gerard. It sounded as if they were planning something. To quarantine the village just to get Jasper to leave was impressively creative, if not completely over the top, especially for a failing mine. Unless it wasn't as far gone as people thought. Was that why she was here? To ascertain the truth? The picture she'd received didn't reveal much. And now that she knew Ian hadn't called the police, what was he going to do with her? It wasn't like he could keep her here indefinitely. At that thought, she had to block unwanted images from her mind. If Gwen ever wanted her freedom, she had to stay focused on the topic at hand and not how desperately she wanted that single night to last forever. No matter what Ian thought of her or their shared night, it would always be held on a pedestal in her mind. No one would ever come close to Ian. And it wasn't just the unbelievable passion, it was him. His genuine, caring personality filled with laughter and love made him the only man she had ever been drawn to. And he was married and hated her. She would be wise to remember that. However, she did cause him many problems. Perhaps there was a way to help Ian while getting the information that she needed. Once Gerard had left the office, it sounded as though Ian was typing on his computer. She took a few moments to collect herself before she finally sat up straight and said, "I can help."